evening. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, July 4th, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. Tirana International Airport has blamed the state police for the robbery several days ago. According to TIA, the police were notified about the robbery in time, and there were police officers present at the airport when the robbery happened. TIA notified police while the thieves and their vehicle were still at the scene. We have made all the documentation available to authorities, the TIA rep said. Tirana International Airport declared that the police are in charge of providing security at the area where the robbers entered, noting that police officers are the only armed people at the airport. The ITCS company is responsible only for the airport security, which does not reduce the state police's responsibility. The ICTS has no right to physically intervene and personnel act unarmed. The only armed forces at the airport are the police officers. Regarding security outside the airport's surrounding fence, that is the state police's responsibility. According to the law, there should be police patrols in all airport areas preventing any illegal activity. Tirana International Airport is at the disposal of the authorities that are investigating the issue, the rep said. The Tirana International Airport rep declared that national security is a common responsibility of all authorities that have the obligation to maintain security at the airport and to be present at the airport area. The Minister of Interior commented today for the first time on the serious robbery at Rinas Airport. The minister admitted that the state police have part of the responsibility, but added that the concession company is the main responsible party. The minister also said that the contract with the concession company will be reviewed. The Minister of Interior was asked by an Aura News journalist about the statement made by the TIA rep, who said that police were present during the robbery and that they were notified in time. The minister avoided giving a direct answer but did not deny the presence of the police officers. There are police to deal with the safety of passengers at the terminal. Safety measures at the terminal have been taken according to the agreement with the company. Tests have been made at the airport and have shown poor security, which is the responsibility of the concession company. We should review the contract with the concession company, which has failed to do its job, declared the Minister of Interior. The minister's statements were made after the Socialist Party parliamentary group meeting, where the robbery of €1 million at Tirana's International Airport was also discussed. It is learned that the head of the Socialist parliamentary group, referring to the Security Commission meeting, asked the MPs to be more prudent with their statements as they can be misused. However, the SP MPs declared that they have made correct statements. The robbery at Rinas Airport has sparked a great deal of debate in the Parliamentary Security Commission. The Socialist Movement for the Integration MP, Rama, asked that the Minister of Interior and the state police directors be called to report at the Commission over the issue, which he considers alarming. The SMI MP declared that the robbery at the Tirana International Airport, where armed thieves entered the airport and stole €1 million, which was to be transported abroad from a commercial bank, has violated national security. This is a scandalous event. It does not matter how much money was stolen, but the fact that an armed group entered the airport matters more. Security at Rinas Airport is zero. National security has been violated. Public and national security is inefficient. Parliamentary controls over secured institutions is needed, declared SMI MP Rama. Meanwhile, the Socialist MPs present at the Commission tried to settle the situation and asked the members to wait until the end of the investigation and not reach conclusions. But the Socialist Movement for Integration MP said that if he was the Minister of Interior, he would have been dismissed. Meanwhile, the Democrat MP Noka accused the Prime Minister and the Minister of Interior of being related to the robbery. The former Minister of Order, Rama, whose party is second in the ruling coalition, continued making accusations against the authorities, declaring that there has not been a robbery at the airport since 1997, when people were armed and when the half of the territory was out of state's control. The President's office also reacted to the robbery at Rinas Airport. In a media statement issued from the President's office, the President has condemned the event, which clearly shows the risk and limited exercise of power created by the abolition of a series of constitutional powers of the President as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. in situations of national security threats. In the President's office statement, the President says that the competences of all constitutional bodies, including the Parliament, are needed for such events in order to bring those responsible for the robbery before justice. Kruja Court ruled for prison custody for the 5 arrested after the Rinas airport robbery. The safety guard of a second-tier bank who was in charge of the safe transfer of the money and the service director of Rinas airport were both left in prison by request of the case prosecutor. It is learned that the defendants did not accept the charges of abuse of office, and their lawyers declared that they are not the responsible ones for the event because they have committed no offense. Meanwhile, the investigation for the robbers continues. The responsibility is of the authorities that should have guaranteed security, especially after the terrorist attacks in Istanbul. They should have provided security at the outer part of the airport. It's lucky that the robbers were not terrorists, the defense lawyer said. The Ad Hoc Commission on Judicial Reform discussed the bill regarding the status of judges today, which predicts that judges and prosecutors will not be transferred without their approval. According to the bill, the judges and prosecutors will be offered 3 alternatives, but no decision will be made that they do not agree with. The novelty in this bill is that the judges and prosecutors cannot be transferred without their approval. This law ends the story that some cities have professional judges and prosecutors and other cities don't. The new law also provides the appointment manner without affecting the wage, the Socialist MP said. On Wednesday, the Ad Hoc Commission will discuss the bill on vetting prosecutors and judges, which is the only point of disagreement between the parties for the adoption of the judicial reform. The OSCE asked the Albanian politicians to agree on the judicial reform. Speaking from Korça, the OSCE Vice Ambassador Robert Wilton said that the reform should be complete and that its implementation is required. People have showed a lot of patience for this reform. Its implementation is required. A reform on paper is not enough. It is required in practice in any courtroom in Albania, he said. To reinforce the idea of the reform's implementation, the OSCE Vice Ambassador stressed that the judicial reform does not end on July 21st, but the process continues. A reform on paper is not enough. A practical reform is needed. Everyone is speaking about the reform. The process continues. July 21st is not the end of the process, which does not end in the Assembly. Members of the Assembly are representatives of the people, and they should be held accountable, Wilton said. The international partners are also engaged in the judicial reform. They insist on the need for a consensual reform and independence from the government, regardless of which party is in power. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.